Everyone. As Jesse said, my name's Connor. I've also been with the organization for about 9 years now. It's entering my ninth season. Previously, I was the director of our India operations, director of our China operations, and I've run about 60 different programs with Rustic Pathways over those 9 years. So I run a lot of trips with our students. I work with a lot of students, teachers, and parents. And Jesse and I both work in the same capacity now as global programs advisors. So what we do now is we sort of advise, all of our returning students and our new students, as well as parents, just about some of the awesome programs that we work with, the communities that we work with out in the world, and just hoping that we can try and find really great fits for what you're excited about and what you're passionate about, so we can sort of find those really great matches between the students and communities that we work with. So we'll get started here. I know we took that poll right here. It looks like we have a pretty even mix actually between new students, returning students, and then parents of students. So just a quick brief explanation about this particular webinar. What we're going to be going over tonight is our new programs at Rustic Pathways for 2017. So these are the things that are brand new for spring break and summer. They're trips that we have not ever run before. So this is a really great time for you to learn about some of the really cool mixtures of programs, program content, and then communities that we're working with, mixed in with our already other great programs that we've been running for years and years on end. So we'll get started here. Just a quick brief overview about Rustic Pathways for our new students. As a whole, we work in 19 different countries in the globe, and we have more than 100 different programs. The programs that we run range from community service and volunteer programs, adventure and touring programs, photography programs, language immersion, and educational programs. So it really runs the gamut of type of things that we do. At Rustic Pathways, we're really big advocates. We have so many things to choose from. There's not a bad program. There's just awesome programs, and it's a matter of finding which awesome program is right for you. So like I said, we're going to jump right into our presentation about our new trips that we're running for this year. Jesse's going to go through most of the program content for all the new trips. And the other thing that we want to highlight is, we want to spend probably about just 2 minutes per program. So we're going to be going over just very basic information about each of the trips. We're not going to go in more in-depth detail of things like, where are you staying? What are we eating for lunch on Tuesday? Should I pack 2 pairs of shorts or 5 pairs of shorts? We're not going to go into that specific tonight. If you have anything that sort of catches your interest, that's when you should definitely give us a call, send us an email, send us an online chat, that kind of stuff, anytime starting tomorrow. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Jessie, and she's going to talk about some of the great trips we got coming up for next year.
Yeah, thanks, Connor. And I do want to just mention that we are recording this webinar. So if you aren't able to stay for the entire time, as Connor mentioned, we're trying to make this nice and concise for you so you can stay for the whole presentation. But if you have to jump off, or if you have a friend or neighbor that was intending to log in but wasn't able to make it, we will be recording this session and we will be posting that on our website. We're happy to provide you that link at the end of the presentation, or if you give us a call later on. So just so you've got that information at your fingertips. And before we do hop into our brand new programs, I do want to introduce a new series that we are running, and that is called our Critical Issues Programs. And at Rustic Pathways, we believe there are critical global issues our students' generation will have to face and resolve. Rustic Pathways is a company of educators, and we're inspired by developing programs that expose students to these issues at their most formative stage as they approach college and careers. You can find this series of programs on our website. If you go to Find Programs and then search by type, you'll be able to access this entire list. And before we launch into our full set of new programs, I do just want to kind of mention these programs, some of which are brand new, and I will go into a little bit more detail throughout the presentation. Some of them we've run before in the past, and they've just been revamped a little bit to fit into this more intensive series. That series does include La Niña Andina, Women's Rights and Educations in Peru. And this program is focusing on the critical issue of access to education, gender equality, and women's empowerment. Innovation in Action, which is in Cuba, is looking at social entrepreneurship and economic development. African Wildlife Conservation in Tanzania is looking at conservation and community development. From the Ground Up in Cambodia is international and grassroots development. Life in the Batays, which is in Dominican Republic, is focusing on citizenship and human rights for migrant communities. Introduction to Public Health in the Caribbean, which is also in the Dominican Republic, is focusing on public health as a human right. Tribal Issues in Myanmar is focusing on migration, marginalized communities, and citizenship. And our Advanced Photography Workshop in Morocco is focusing on photojournalism, access to education, and gender equality. We also have a program called Refugee Youth Tutoring, which is in the United States. It's focusing on refugee resettlement, access to education and citizenship. Climate change and marine environments, which takes place in Fiji, focuses on global climate change and aquatic ecosystem conservation. And finally, documenting democracy in Burma, which is focusing on political change, storytelling, and democratization. So these are all on our website under Find Programs, search by type. They're also underneath the country programs that they fit within. And we're going to go into the newer programs here a little bit more to give you more detail. Starting off with Cuba, we have Off the Map Cuba. We have 2 brand new programs, which creates 4 total in Cuba. And the first program is an intensive travel program throughout Cuba. So students are going to get way off the beaten path to places that most travelers don't explore in a country where a few travelers, our students' generation, even have had the opportunity to go. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. Students will get to travel by horse, by boat, and foot through several of Cuba's central and western provinces to some of the island's most remote destinations. But they'll be able to participate in mangrove restoration and sea turtle conservation efforts. So it's a service program in addition to a travel program focusing on environmental and animal conservation. And they'll also get to relax on the beaches, secluded keys only accessible by boat, and snorkel in the infamous Bay of Pigs. They'll wander the streets of Havana and Trinidad as you marvel at Cuba's extensive history and architecture that spans over 5 centuries. So it's definitely Rustic Pathway's most epic adventure throughout Cuba to date, and this program is absolutely recommended for more advanced travelers. And our second new program in Cuba is our Introduction to Photography. Our photo programs are incredible. They are run by professional photographers. We've had photo programs in Asia, in Africa, in India before, but we have not had a photography program based in Latin America. And Cuba is the perfect environment for aspiring photographers to hone their practice. It's rich scenery, it's abundance of stories to be told. This program allows students to dive into Cuban culture, develop their photography skills, learn how to tell compelling stories through their lens. Rustic Pathways has been running photography programs for about 2 decades now. And for those of you who have spent any time on our website, you've seen our rich imagery. All of this is done in-house, so no stock images. It's all done by our staff, our professional photographers, and even our guides throughout the summer. And students will be learning from those same photographers who help collect our incredible imagery. This is a perfect fit for aspiring photographer, for anyone interested in photojournalism, and it is open to any level. So as long as you know how to use a camera, you're good to go.
Personally, I'm also really excited for the Intro to Photography in Cuba. After personally traveling there, it is just a fascinating sort of landscape to sort of take pictures. You just get that really awesome like Latin American vibe when you're down there, but also it's kind of a country that's sort of back in time a little bit. You see a lot of cars from the 1950s, a lot of the architecture is very old, which sort of like blends and adds in with newer architecture. So just a really cool program if you're interested in photography in a very, very sort of unique context. And it's just the perfect time to sort of visit Cuba while all of it is still sort of fresh and really interesting and sort of like landscape and scenery for everyone.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So our next new programs are in Dominican Republic, and the first of which is called Hats, Bats, and Baseballs. So we, in the past, Rustic Pathways has had programs that focus on soccer in developing countries. We have soccer in Costa Rica, we have soccer in Thailand, and soccer obviously is a worldwide sport, but Dominican Republic, the community and the kids in DR are passionate about their baseball. Baseball is life in DR, experienced this firsthand that is found at all levels in Dominican society as you play baseball with local children. You'll scrimmage against community teams. You'll play full-fledged games at professional baseball camps and help to build new fields for the community. Explore the hidden gems of DR as you travel to Bahia de las Águilas and consider by many some of the most beautiful beaches in the country. This program is for any level baseball player. It is not required to be an expert or at a super high level in baseball, but it does require a passion for baseball because you'll be definitely immersed in more ways than one for this program. And our second program is something we're super excited about. It is our newest Ultimate program. So in the past, Rustic Pathways has run the Ultimate African Adventure. It was a program that visited several different countries throughout Southern and Eastern Africa. And this year, we are offering our Ultimate program in Latin America. So this program is for alumni only. For those of you that are returning students, listen up. Each year, we offer this epic adventure across the regions that we run programs in. And this year, you'll be traveling to Peru, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, and Cuba during this epic 3-week adventure. You'll get to hike to Machu Picchu. You'll spend a night with a Peruvian family. You rappel down a 150-foot waterfall in the jungle and sail on a catamaran through the turquoise waters of DR. So we've really taken the highlights, the coolest, most incredible experiences that we have in these countries and combined them into one amazing 3-week program. We definitely recommend to get in while you can. These Ultimate programs always sell out very early in the year, usually before the end of our Star Alumni and New Student discount period, which is ending September 12th. We'll definitely talk more about that, but if you've got your eye on this program, we'd highly recommend getting in soon. Our next two programs are in Fiji. So we've got 3 new programs, technically 2 programs and a third new session of programs. Our first program in Fiji is called Ridge to Reef. This new program is Rustic Pathways' biggest high adventure program in Fiji. Your adventure begins with a 4-day trek along mountain trails used for generations to travel from village to village. You'll stop in welcoming communities, swim beneath waterfalls, and take in sublime mountain vistas along the way. You'll get to swim with manta rays. You can add on a scuba dive if you like to scuba. You can snorkel in remote coral reefs that are essential to life in the islands. And you'll return home having experienced the diverse landscape and welcoming nature of Fiji and seeing places few visitors even know exist. Fiji, we've actually operated in Fiji for more than 2 decades at this point, and we've had a lot of time for our staff who are local Fijians who know the back roads and the most beautiful, mysterious, and untraversed locations. And so our programs in Fiji are really strong, and I highly recommend taking a look at those. And this definitely takes you to some of the more stunning, rugged backcountry areas. Our next program in Fiji is called Impact of Climate Change on Marine Environments. So in this program, students will critically examine the effects of climate change on the vulnerable marine environment in Fiji, the first country in the world to sign the 2016 Paris UN climate deal, which is pretty amazing. You'll get to analyze the effects of extreme weather, rising waters, warmer water temperatures, impacted animal population through hands-on environmental monitoring projects in the field, and conversations with expert community partners. This program is part of our Critical Issues series that I mentioned earlier, and a great fit for any student passionate about global climate change and aquatic ecosystem conservation. Definitely spend a lot of time in the water. I have run a program very similar to this for Rustic Pathways in the past, and you'll spend a lot of time in the water. It's a beautiful, beautiful setting, and we have some incredible partners in the area that you'll be working with. And finally, we are offering Spring to Fiji. So this is new. We have not in the past, or at least for some time, we have not offered a spring break trip to Fiji. And this year we do have an option. It's a chance to experience the magic of Fiji in one action-packed week during your spring break. Get the taste of what Fiji has to offer through a combination of service projects and daily adventures. You will get to zip line and kayak and island hop with our happy-go-lucky staff. They're amazing. And then spend some time helping the community with education and infrastructure-based projects. This is the perfect way to spend your spring break. We've got quite a few options. this is definitely a beautiful, beautiful choice. You'll enjoy a laid-back, relaxed pace of island life with plenty of time to lounge in the sun and share laughs with your fellow rustic travelers.
One thing that I just want to throw out too, beyond Fiji just being absolutely incredible, as Jesse said, it's the second, it's the country we've been in the second longest for rustic pathways. If the spring break trip to Fiji sounds great, or there's another new spring break we're talking about a little bit later in the presentation, I would definitely highlight looking at those sooner rather than later. As Jesse says, in terms of things filling up quickly, our spring break trips fill up incredibly quickly. Um, we offer a ton of different programs throughout the summer. So usually when one trip fills out, there's another week that you can make it. But for so many students, they just have 1 week available, and we only have a couple of spring break programs. So you all are at a great time of year. And one, there's a discount available, and two, you're sort of, beating the rest of the crowd who are looking to sign up for their spring break programs. So I absolutely highlight, if you're interested in one of the spring break programs we're talking about tonight, or one of the other spring break trips we ran in previous years, that's something to sort of jump on the ball a little bit quicker before those individual dates sell out.
Yeah, awesome. And I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but please do feel free to send your questions in that question box. We will try to get to those during the presentation if they are relevant to the slide that we're on, and we can also have time at the end of the series, at the end of the presentation, if we get through this, to have questions and answer session at the end. So go ahead and throw those in while you can. We've got a couple of our other fellow global program advisors behind the scenes. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Paul. Answering questions as they go along, so you'll hear from them, and then we'll try and get to some of those, like I said, in the question and answer session at the end. So our next new program is in Laos. It's called the Wonders of Laos. And this program, let's see. This program is a 1 week service program. It's a bit of a touring program and cultural immersion program. You'll be traveling to Asia. It can be added on very easily to other programs once you are there. You will explore all of the wonders that Laos has to offer. So this is designed to give you a beautiful overview of the country. You'll visit ancient Buddhist caves. You'll hike to the top of a waterfall and participate in a traditional Lao cooking class. You will spend a few days at Lao Elephant Conservation Center, which is always a favorite of students, where you'll learn about these magnificent creatures, including their diets and how to assess their health and proper communication techniques. So a trip to Southeast Asia is not complete without experiencing the untouched wonders of Laos. And this is one of several programs in Asia that will work well, like I said, as an add-on program, allowing you to extend your trip a little bit by combining programs. All right, and Myanmar. So Myanmar is a country that Rustic Pathways has a bit of a specialty in. We've been there the longest. We offer some amazing, incredible programs with our local staff there. And this program is especially incredible. It's documenting democracy. The unrestricted exchange of ideas and free and fair press are central pillars in representative government. Myanmar's road to democracy has been paved with protest and peril. On this program, students will get to take an in-depth look at this historically closed nation and the role media has played in its emerging democracy. Really, really fascinating stuff. Definitely something for more academically focused students that are interested in going perhaps into political science. You will get to speak with artists and filmmakers, other students your age, and families about the power of storytelling and defending democracy and how the nation is changing as it opens up to the world. So, like I said, super fascinating program. Definitely really interested to see what the students can experience on this program. And our next new program is in Peru, another one of our critical issues programs. It's called La Niña Andina. On this program, explore access to education and women's rights through a variety of immersive experiences. You will travel through the Andean highlands and engage with educational NGOs, women weaving cooperatives, women's rights advocates, and government agencies. You will journey with your group through remote indigenous communities to larger towns and gain an understanding of the educational resources in both rural and urban environments. Like I said, this is one of our critical issues programs. It has content-specific focus, And this program is best for students who are passionate about access to education, gender equality, and the women's empowerment movement. We are also offering a brand new spring break trip in Peru. So in addition to our spring break trips that we offered previously in the United States, Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica, we now have spring break trips in Fiji and Peru. And this is taking our super, super popular Sacred Valley service and turning it into a fantastic one-week spring break trip. If you're looking for a great service option outside the United States over spring break, perhaps not quite as far as Fiji, this is a great fit. Trade in your typical spring break at the beach for a meaningful service experience in the heart of the Sacred Valley. You will contribute to a potable water project in a rural community while immersing yourself into life in the Andes. And you'll also round out your Peruvian adventures with an unforgettable trip to Machu Picchu. You will get to camp in a rural community, create bonds with the community members, and have an incredible spring break among the mountains of the Peruvian Andes. Like I mentioned, this program sells out routinely every summer, and now that we are offering it as a spring break, we anticipate the same. So as Connor said, we definitely recommend getting in early if this is your spring break trip of choice. And Thailand, we've got a couple new programs. One is called Life on the Margin. This is a program where students will join the family while living at Rustic Pathways Children's Home. They'll be teaching in a local public school and tutoring the students who call this magical place home. Immerse yourself in culture during a homestay in a nearby village where you will work on development projects and spend time with locals, and educate yourself about refugee issues during an overnight visit to a refugee camp on the Thai-Myanmar border. This program is a good fit for students who are passionate about refugee resettlement, access to education, and citizenship. And this is also a great program to combine with our other service programs at the Rustic Pathways Children's Home. Especially if you are looking to sort of dig a little bit deeper and want to learn more about the situation of the Karen refugees, fantastic program to consider. Our next new program in Thailand is called Community Health and Wilderness First Aid. We did offer this in the past, and it's backed by popular demand. We've extended this program to make it a little bit longer. And it's one of our most popular service programs in Northeast Thailand. It allows students to dive into community health issues in rural developing communities while getting certified in Wilderness First Aid. And we are one of the only companies that offers this certification for students under the age of 18. It looks fantastic on a resume if you're going into college, or if you're just interested in perhaps pursuing nursing or going into the medical field at all. This is a really wonderful program. You'll also learn about rural health care through the hands-on medical assessments alongside trained professionals in a village clinic, which is really, really fascinating for students to be able to experience. And then you get to explore the world of holistic medicine while you learn the basics of Thai massage, reflexology, and other ancient wellness techniques. So it's a really well-rounded program. And you will also take home tangible skills like an accredited certification and a greater understanding of community-based medicine. You will be certified in Wilderness First Aid, as we mentioned, and CPR, basic medical skills in the communities surrounding the Ricefield Service Base in northeastern Thailand. And like I said, this is a great fit for any students who are interested in career medicine or community health, public health, or even international development.
Yeah, and I would just like to highlight with Jesse, I just think it's a good opportunity, this program specifically, to talk about, why take a Rustic Pathways program in the first place. A lot of students, especially at this age, are trying to think, where am I going to school? What am I going to major in? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? There's all this pressure that we, tend to put on students. And these kind of opportunities really give you the opportunity to explore an interest or passion so that you can do a trip and say, you know what, I love this. This is my favorite thing. I would really be interested in studying this long term. Or for you to go on a trip and be like, I really enjoy the community and my trip, but I'm maybe not as passionate about, health or, community health centers or things like that. This is a really great example of a trip where you can sort of explore that passion or interest, or you can explore women's issues, or you can explore, international development or, developing nations or things like that. And so I just think a program like this is a wonderful opportunity for people to sort of, pull the thread at some of those interests and passions and, figure out a little bit more about yourself and what you do love in a 2-week time period, rather than committing, 4 years at a university or 6 years at a university without any hands-on sort of knowledge or experience with that specific topic. So I just love programs like this that have very specific sort of like focus and content in them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Connor. Next up is our programs in the United States. We've got 3 new programs, starting with our Key Largo Marine Lab. Students will get to spend a week in Key Largo discovering an entire world under the ocean surface with the Key Largo Marine Lab. It's a great organization working to develop students' skills, understanding of marine environments conservation. And you'll spend part of your day learning about the complex ecological systems of coral reefs and lagoons. And then you'll hop on a boat and head out to the crystal clear blue waters of Florida Keys to put your new knowledge to work. So students will get to snorkel through lagoons and coral reefs and see firsthand the beauty and the structures and systems of the ocean floor. This program is jam-packed with new experiences and new information and plenty of time to soak up the sun. Our next program in the U.S. is called Peaks to Powder. This is a spring break trip. It's another great way to have a Rustic Pathways spring break. You're going to jumpstart your spring break with 3 days of incredible skiing or snowboarding in the Wasatch Mountain Range near Salt Lake City. And that's whether you're a newbie or advanced, you can challenge yourself in various terrain and sharpen your skills. We'll have professional ski instructors to work with various levels. Then you'll put your skis and snowboards away and you'll head south to explore the hoodoos of Bryce Canyon and the narrows of Zion's National Park. So you'll escape to the cold and relaxing hot spring. You'll get to do some hikes on trails. You'll return to Salt Lake City for the final night of fun with your new Rustic buddies before heading home for your epic week exploring Utah. And this program is a great fit for any student looking for a great outdoor adventure over spring break, especially one that's a little bit closer to home. And we also have a Young Explorers program. So for any of you that have read our catalog before, read through our catalog, we have a Young Explorers program in Costa Rica. This is specifically for our younger travelers aged 12 to 14, typically in junior high or middle school. And we have 2 great new Young Explorer programs in the United States. Young Explorers California Rush and Young Explorers Key Largo Marine Lab. We also have fantastic Young Explorers programs in Costa Rica, as I mentioned, and these are an excellent fit for younger students looking to travel outside the United States for the first time in Costa Rica or within the United States now in these 2 new programs. We will have staff that are specifically trained to work with younger students, especially first-time travelers or first-time away from their home. So this is a great way to sort of get your traveling feet wet and experience what it's like to be a global citizen, a little bit of community service, a little bit of traveling, and lots of adventure. They're really well-rounded programs for our younger students.
Awesome. And then one thing I wanted to highlight too is I know we talked a little bit about some other marine programs in Fiji, and we have another program in the United States. So if it's something that you're interested in, we get a lot of questions of, what's the difference between this one and that one? This is a great example of like the one in the United States, there's no community service on the program, while there is some community service on some of our other marine life programs. So this one in the United States, it's a little bit more just like diving experience and getting out to more locations, but not as hands-on working within the environmental like reconstruction off the coast of Key Largo. So if you have questions like that, that's a great example of questions, to come back and give us a call, send us an email of sort of comparing and contrasting some trips that may seem similar, but are in 2 different locations of what the different program content is between the 2 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a call anytime during business hours. We, as the Global Program Advisor, that's what we're here for. We're happy to go through these programs, especially if you can just give us some basics of your interests. I'd like to do service, or I'd like to travel to Asia, just to get us started. We love trying to find the best fit program for you guys. You can also reach us via email, and I'll have some email addresses for you at the end of the presentation. And our newest country, is Nepal. This is a country that we have operated actually in the past with private school groups, but this is the first time that we are offering this as a summer program for students on an incredible program. We've got two programs here. One is called Himalayan Village Life. You will journey to the land of Himalayan peaks, gorgeous valleys, and monsoon showers. Experience the culture of the Kathmandu Valley, the surrounding area, and then head to a nearby village in what's called the Kavre district, where you live with a local family and work on a service project selected by the community. You'll also, of course, learn local dance, which is huge in Nepal. You'll play games with Nepali students. You'll learn how to cook traditional Nepali food. And you'll take a break from the hard work for a few days of whitewater rafting and bungee jumping. From the home-cooked dal bhat, which is a delicious, delicious meal if you've never had it. I definitely advise you try it. And all the way to the views of the Himalayas, this program will be full of firsts for you. And our second new program in Nepal is called the Yeti Expedition. In this program, you're going to experience Nepali culture, terrain, and history as you explore the Himalayan wonderland, full of snow-capped mountains, tropical jungles, gorgeous valleys, and winding rivers. This is definitely more of a touring program. We're going to see a lot more of the country versus the first program, Himalayan Village Life, which is just more of a service focus. And you're going to start your journey for the Yeti Expedition by taking a tour of Kathmandu and its most famous heritage sites. And then it's off to the Trishuli River for 2 days of rafting. You will ride into the jungle on a safari, keep your eyes peeled for rhinos and leopards, crocodiles and elephants, and the elusive Bengal tiger. And then you'll get to trek into the Annapurnas, stay at small Nepali villages along the way, and then finish up the trip with a visit to one of the most famous Buddhist stupas in the valley. This program is an absolutely great add-on for anyone traveling on our Nepal service program. Also, if you're traveling to India, you can combine with our Nepal program, so that's something to consider if you'd like to get 2 countries while you're over there. And one important note for all of our programs in Nepal, it is the annual monsoon cycle. So that determines the timing of many of the pieces of the itinerary. If it is pouring rain on a service day, we may alter the itinerary just a little bit. So we do have backup plans for that, but that's something to consider when joining this trip.
Awesome. So I will talk a little bit about, I'll give Jesse a break because he's been talking a lot, just about like our discount and to answer some of the questions that we've had come through the presentation that I think are applicable for everyone. Right now, what we're in right now is what we call our early enrollment sort of booking season. So that started yesterday and it goes all the way through September 12th. And it's a discount for all of our students and parents who are looking to sign up for a program for next spring break or summer, as long as you sign up between now and September 12th. There's a slightly different discount if you're a new student or if you're a returning alumni on the programs. But essentially at Rustic Pathways, we get some deals and discounts by working with some of our, if we're staying at a hotel, or if we're going bungee jumping on a trip, or if we're renting vans, or whatever it is that we need to sort of put the trips together. We get some discounts working with vendors by booking so early in the year with them or making those reservations. So rather than just taking that discount ourselves, we try and pass that along to our students and families. So that's why it's our early enrollment discount period. So it's a great time. It's the absolute best time of the year to sign up for programs, just because that discount is available, and it's also the first time that the programs are coming out, which means that usually all of the dates are available for you to sign up, and there's no problem sort of getting into the program and date of your choice. Some things to go over. I'm going to start to go over some questions as well that have come up during the presentation, and they're just some questions that I think are applicable to everyone. But here's the contact us page. If you have to, sort of jump out of the presentation, as Jesse said, the recording will be up tomorrow, or the next day. Once we get that all processed, but you can feel free to give us a call or send us an email whenever as well. But I'll sort of start to go through some of the questions that came in. And if you have any more, just send them right along and we will try and answer as many as we can. So the first question.
Questions and answers.
Yeah, definitely. So the first question that came up was just like, how much is it? So that's a great question, which you can definitely find online. So all of our programs on the website are going to have all of the departure dates for that individual trip, as well as how much the program costs, how much the estimated airfare is for flying to that country. They'll give you an itinerary, frequently asked questions about that trip. They'll give you a ton of sort of different details about the programs. each trip is going to have a different cost. The cost is going to be the actual cost of the trip itself. It is not going to include the discount amount. So if you're using either your alumni or your early enrollment discount, you'll just take the percentage off of that actual program cost. And then after September 12th, when the discount period sort of ends, then it'll be just that regular program cost for anyone that signs up after that point in the year. One thing to keep in note about the discount amount, it's just off the cost of the program itself. It is not off the cost of the airfare. As much as we would love for the airlines to also appreciate our new students and our returning alumni, they are not giving us a discount off of our group rate. So that's just the airfare amount, and there's no discount off of that airfare rate. But the discount applies to any number of programs that you want to do. So some students just do one program, some students do 2, 3, 4 programs, and they stay the whole summer. You could apply that discount to any number of programs that you are signing up for. I also think it's important to note, because some people don't realize that all of our programs at Rustic Pathways are designed to connect. So if you were doing one program in Fiji, you can do any other program that we run in Fiji right after it, as long as they have a connecting program the week after. Very, very easy to do. The way all of our logistics work is programs in the same country are designed to end and begin on the same day. So you don't miss a day of either program and sort of just very easily transition to the next one. So it's especially great if you have a discount. That discount goes towards any number of programs. So a lot of people will sign up for multiple trips at this time of year. Going along with that, I had a couple questions about how does payment work. The way payment works is there's 2 different options for payment. The first is you can either pay in full. So right when you enroll online, you can put your credit card information in and sign up and pay for essentially the entire balance of your trip right when you sign up. The second option for payment is that you can do an installment plan. So the installment plan, there's a 3% charge for choosing to do installments over the year. The first payment, so the first half of your invoice, will be due 15 days after you enroll in the program, and the second half of your payment will be due 90 days before the start of your trip. So you have to look at sort of your program start date and 90 days before that to know when the final payment will be due. But those are the 2 options that you have for payment.
Yep, and I also have a quick comment on this discount period. As Connor mentioned, it does end September 12th, so it is an early time to commit to a program. And I just want to reiterate that you have technically until January 15th, if you do enroll during this special period, to change your program, change your session date, or completely cancel for a full refund. So it's a no-risk early enrollment period. Just want to make sure that we mention that, because it is sometimes a little bit nerve-wracking to make a decision so early, and especially if you're trying to decide between a couple of programs, we definitely recommend go ahead, choose a program, think about it for the next 6 months, and then you have until January 15th to lock that in.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot to mention that, which is just a great option for the program. I know a lot of people, like, well, we have another, camp opportunity or something at school or sports are coming up and we don't know the calendar yet. That's why we want to give people until that January 15th date where they can either cancel or switch programs or find a different departure date that fits into your schedule. So that way, if you're not 100% clear right now, you can sort of get that discount still by signing up before September 12th, but having that flexibility to change before January 15th.
Yep.
Thanks for mentioning that, Jesse, because that's a really important thing that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, and also, Connor, you did mention some of the navigation on the website, but just again to reiterate, we have a plethora of information on the website. If you use those top 3 buttons at the top of the page, the Find Programs, How It Works, and Who We Are We have a lot of different links there for you, especially that Find Programs. It will have a drop-down menu, and you can search by country. You can also search by type or by interest. So those are really helpful if you are trying to narrow it down before you give us a call. And then how It Works also has information on flights and travel logistics as well, and frequently asked questions, and hopefully everything to answer all of your questions. And then when you get to the bottom of those, give us a call as well.
Awesome. Cool. And I'll go through some of the other quick questions that have come up. I had a couple questions about winter break programs, about college programs, those kind of things. We unfortunately do not offer any winter break programs. So the only types of programs that we offer for open enrollment, so individual students signing up, are our spring break trips, which run at the end of March and early April, and then our summer programs, which are June, July, and August. So unfortunately, nothing during like December, January, February months. And then we do have a couple of college programs. So if you're older than 18, we do have a couple of those available. If you just go to rusticpathways.com/college, that's where you'll find the 2 college programs that we run also during the summer. Um,
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions about safety, and I'm just going to say that we are more than happy to go into our safety policies. We have a lot of information for you on that. We also have an entire recording with our Director of Risk Management and Safety on our recordings page. That's located at rusticpathways.com/recordings, where you can find some of our past webinars, including our safety webinar. Definitely recommend tuning into that because although some of the information might be geared a little bit more towards summer 2016, we do touch base on a lot of our risk management, the safety of our programs.
I have a couple questions too here just about people not knowing where to find like spring break programs or some of the critical issues programs that Jesse talked about, or specifically where to find all of these new programs online. Just a quick navigation for y'all. I think the easiest way to sort of use our website is just when you go to rusticpathways.com, right in the upper top part of our website, there's a little drop down that just says Find Programs. It's the easiest way that everything's sort of broken down into categories for you. So on the left of the drop down will be all of the programs by country. So if there's a specific region of the world, if you're like, I know I want to go to India, let me just see what programs are in India, you can just click through the programs per country. But if you go to the right of the drop down, that's where you can search for program by type. So you can find things like spring break programs, new programs, the critical issue programs, the college programs that I just talked about, or you can search by interest. So if you're like, you know what, I'm not looking for spring break specifically, I don't care if it's in India or Fiji or Costa Rica, I just want to travel somewhere, but I want to work with animals, or I'm an athlete, or I'm interested in language or photography. You can also search by interest. So that same little drop down in that Find Program section, you can look again on the right-hand little side of it, and you can search by sort of like categories of what you may be interested in or passionate about. And I think that's another really easy way to find programs that might fit sort of your passion and interest level. We also have a couple questions just about like from some of our new students. Where do people come from? What do these groups look like? They're new programs, so who's going to be on them? It's kind of exciting about new programs is we don't actually know. We don't know if it'll skew a little bit older or a little bit younger, but I can certainly talk about some generics for y'all. Company-wide, we do have about 80% of our students come from the United States, and about 20% come from other countries. So there's a really cool mix of students from both the United States and North America, but then lots of students from Asia and Europe and South America amongst all of our programs.
Connor, sorry to interrupt, we actually had students from 63 different countries in 2015. So 63 different countries around the world could potentially be on your trip, probably not at the same time, but it's kind of a fun extra added dynamic, international dynamic to the program.
Yeah, it's awesome, and that's actually increased every single year. So I can remember, 2 or 3 years ago, it was maybe, 12% of students from other countries, and it was 15%, and last year I think it was 20%. So we see that number rising every year, which is really cool to just have a mixture of students from all over the world and sort of meeting people from all over the world in a new country for both of you. It's awesome. Also with sort of like the breakdown of students, again, there's ages listed for every program. So a good majority of the programs are for 14 to 18-year-olds, but you may find some programs that are just for 16 to 18. They have a higher age restriction. But company-wide, we're a good majority of our programs are 14 to 18-year-olds, and it sort of looks like a bell curve distribution. So we have the most number of 16-year-olds, slightly fewer 15 and 17-year-olds, and then slightly fewer 14 and 18-year-olds. What's cool about it though is, a lot of people I think worry about like age and gender breakdown, but really, I'm sure Jesse will talk about this as well. We've both run so many programs over the years, is that in high school you definitely get divided into like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. But on programs, really the difference between a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, we don't really see it. We don't divide you by age. We don't divide you by, what grade you're going into in school. Really what's bringing you all together is an interest in photography, or an interest in pandas, or an interest in rebuilding homes. And what we tend to find really divides people in high school, like doesn't really matter on a Rustic Pathways program, and really what connects you is that passion and interest. So again, we have the most number of 16-year-olds, but it's a really cool dynamic with all ages on our programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing that you can give us a call, especially later in the spring when we get closer to the actual number of students and actual enrollees in our programs. Give us a call. We'd be happy to look into how many students are on your trip or what the age range is a little bit later in the season.
Awesome. And then if you have any final questions, definitely send them in. It looks like there are a couple questions that are very specific, so I won't go over them in the webinar, like, how much is this specific trip, or how many days, or how many dives are we doing on this specific trip. If you have any specific questions like that about any of the programs, as we mentioned, give us a call, send us an email. There's an online chat feature on our website. Definitely feel free to use that. Jesse and I cover all three of those things all the time, so you'll probably talk to one of the two of us anyway. But we love answering questions and sort of sitting down with our students and parents and just finding really great program fits for y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have our new catalog available later in the fall, typically mid to late October. We will have that available for you to order for free. Until then, we have our website updated, and there will be small updates like packing lists and such going on the next week or two. But you can find all that online and more. And give us a call. Let's chat. Thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much, y'all. We look forward to talking to y'all, and hope to see you in 2017.
All right, have a good night, everyone.